Welcome to the Torque Test channel. This is part 1 of the 2021 Compact Impact Shootout, and this is the Ingersoll Rand 35 Max and Astro Onyx 1822 half-inch compact impact wrenches. On this channel we test modern impact wrenches versus old school torque ratings. Essentially, assuming your father's impact was rated at an honest 450 foot-pounds, what do modern impact wrenches really make compared to that? Manufacturers admit there's currently no way to compare torque ratings, so in a world where brands are now advertising 1600 foot-pounds, this is our attempt at leveling the playing field. It won't disprove the brand's ratings, but it should allow us to actually compare power levels across brands. If you're curious how this testing rig was made, or the air lines, air fittings, air pressure we use, please see episode 1 where that's discussed. Over the next couple parts, we're going to be putting these top 2021 compact, mini, nano, and stub impacts head-to-head. At the end, we're going to be crowning a winner based on its power, how close that power is to its specs, and the power per inch. That winner will be given away to a commenter who guessed that correct winner in episode 6's introduction video. So here we have the IR35 Max. One thing I have to say about this impact is it feels like nothing else in the category. It's extremely light, and I think the air hose attached to this, hanging off of it, will weigh more than the tool does in most cases. It feels like an extension of your arm and just really nice in general. But if you look at the channel name, that's not what we're here to talk about. Both this 35 Max and Astro 1822 Nano advertise 450 foot-pounds of max torque, which make these good for a heads-up comparison. 35 Max is noticeably longer in hand at 4.5 inches compared to the Nano's 3.85 inches, but the IR also advertises a nut busting rating of 625 foot-pounds. So maybe that's where the difference in length comes into play. But in most cases, we ignore nut busting advertising here on this channel because these ratings have so far been pretty useless. The Astro only advertises working in max, so it's sort of like the 31H that's the standard on this channel in that regard. As for the Astro Nano, it's the shortest impact wrench in this testing series we're doing here, and the shortest impact wrench I could find online. I saw the RTR video that he made a few years ago where this finished sort of middle of the pack in compact impacts, but Astro recently posted that they're on their 3rd version of this tool and always improving it, so I'm interested to see where it lands. So let's hop into the testing. This is the 35 Max working torque. And the Astro 1822 Nano working torque. Now here's the max reverse torque. You'll probably notice from the numbers right away we have some huge differences. These were the first 2 impact wrenches of this testing series that I tested, and I was surprised to see this much of a gap between them already, between 2 models that are effectively advertised at the same amount of power. So the top blue line is the Astro Nano and the bottom green line is the IR35 Max. Besides being 70-80 foot-pounds difference, across most of the range is a 25% increase in power with the shorter 1822 compared to the 35 Max. Hopefully with the next test, which is at 15 seconds and a higher static pressure, the 35 Max catches up. 16. So after the 15-second best case scenario test, you'll notice that the relationship between the performance of the two impact wrenches here haven't changed much. But one interesting phenomenon I noticed is the best case scenario at a higher static pressure hasn't really increased performance at the 10-second mark. So maybe it's the case with these smaller impact wrenches that increasing line pressure doesn't scale well with power compared to the other bigger, higher power impact wrenches we've tested thus far. As a matter of fact, looking back at IR's website, the Newton meter rating for this impact wrench is almost 200 foot-pounds lower than the foot-pound rating is when you convert it. So I'm not sure what that's about either. What's most surprising to me is that so far on this channel, we've been comparing the old school Ingersoll Rand 231H to other brands of impact wrenches. So it was always possible that these other brands were skewing the numbers a bit, and IR was keeping true. But here's an example of one of the latest models that IR has put out, and it has similar, or actually the same performance numbers on the box as this old school mid-90s 231H. Yet here's the graph of the comparison in power between the two models. Both of these are rated at 450 foot-pounds max torque from Ingersoll Rand, but there's a 25-year gap between the manufacturing of them. And obviously there's probably pressure on Ingersoll Rand to keep up with the advertised numbers on modern compact impact wrenches as well. But if you were under the assumption that within the brand of Ingersoll Rand, or maybe within the brand of other manufacturers, you can compare torque directly, this graph shows that that's likely far from true, which was probably the most interesting to me so far. So after putting these performance numbers into our ranking system for this series, the Nano is clearly out to an early lead by having a higher torque reading, a lower percentage off of its advertised torque reading, and more foot-pounds per inch. But we have three very popular compact impact wrenches up next. I'd originally planned to put all these impact wrenches in one video, but it would have been over a half hour long, and all the data and graphs start to get confusing. So you'll have to tune in to see the rest.